Hello, everybody. Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, joined by Jamie Rigotti, Jamie Topples herself, longtime Seems Good Magic contributor. Go to the video description if you want to check out her Twitch channel. She streams very frequently and has an awesome community out there, so check her out when she's streaming on Twitch. All right, Jamie, we have a bunch of spoilers to get through yet. So let's start getting through these. These are the remainder. I don't know if we're going to get through them all. I'm going to try my best to get through the rest of these Ixalan spoilers. All right, so let's get to it. First, we have Ixalan's Diviner, 1 and a green, 0/3 human druid common, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores. All right, so I've talked about it with Sam. I've talked about it with you. I like the mechanic Explore. This one in particular, these are the two things it could be. It's either a 2-mana, 1/4, Scry 1, or essentially Scry 1. It's actually better than Scry because it puts it in your graveyard. Or a 2-mana, 0/3, draw a land card. So are those two modes good enough to make this like basically anytime you're jamming green, you'd play this card?
Yes.
I think so too.
Unless you're in a beatdown deck.
Then it's not good enough to have the 1/4 even with the scry effect or whatever. It's
I
just
think so.
too
Maybe.
janky. Even as a 2-drop.
Yeah, because I want my 2 drops to be beaters in an aggro deck. I don't really want a 1/4 if I'm trying
Maybe
to
you
just
can
turn them
maybe a
sideways.
1/4 you can just keep attacking with though. I guess it's not really dealing enough damage, but it doesn't like die easily, which is nice too. But the fact that
Yeah.
it could end up as a 0/3 is pretty mediocre, I guess. In the
I
beatdown
mean,
especially, yeah.
yeah, I'd be playing it in, I don't know, 80% of my green decks probably.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm definitely a fan of this one though. That one is good. Moving on, we have Dark Nourishment, 4 and a black, instant, uncommon. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player. You gain 3 life. So, Jamie, I'll leave this one to you. You like removal, right?
I love removal.
So, what do you think about this one though?
Um, I don't like that it costs 5 mana.
Yeah,
My gosh. It's a little expensive. That's a little pricey.
I think so too. So, what kind of pick are we looking at for Dark Nourishment?
Like pick number, pretty late. I don't want to take it super early.
I'm trying to think how late it'll actually go. I mean, what's nice is against aggro, even though it's expensive, it kind of gives a little bit of that payoff, gaining the life, which is nice. And it's instant speed, so in response to your whatever, I'll, kill it instead and gain some life. But you're right, it is. It's very expensive. I think we've seen something like Sorin's Thirst, which was like 2 black for 2 damage to a creature, gain 2 life. But remember, this also deals it to a player. You can kill your
That's
opponent with Dark Nourishment,
that's very true.
which is actually pretty cool. So I think you're right. It's a little bit overcosted. As far as pick order, I don't know. I actually think it's going to depend on how well it plays in the format. I think early
Yeah.
on it'll probably go like relatively early actually, just because people love removal. So you might pick it up like 3rd pick or something, 4th pick, but it might end up at like 6th or 7th pick later in the format if it's like, hey, I don't need any more. I've this format has enough 5 drops that I'm interested in. I don't have space for this
Yeah.
kind of expensive removal spell. All right. Next we have Bonded Horncrest, 3 in a red, 5/5 uncommon dinosaur, but it can't attack or block alone. What do you think about
Aw,
this one?
I kind of feel bad for him. He needs like an entourage.
Yes, but is he efficient? He's a good creature type. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
any red beatdown deck, aren't you just gonna jam this dude?
Sure. I mean, a 5/5 or 4 is great, and yeah, you're probably gonna have other creatures out. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine too. Did you? I mean, I'm sure you played in formats with like Mog Flunkies. Did you ever jam that card? That was the one that was 2 mana, 3/3, can't attack or block alone.
Yeah, I feel like I played that in Cube a couple times.
I think I played
Yeah.
it quite a bit too. The nice thing about these cards are they can attack together. So if you have 2 Bonded Horncrests, they
Hmm.
both get to beat down. They both can block. I think actually it's almost like the blocking disadvantage on this is a bigger hindrance than the attacking one. I mean, either one is bad, but it kind of sucks. A lot of times you just want to block with one creature, and this forcing you to block with maybe an additional creature just so you can put your 5/5 in front of it does kind of suck. But then again, forcing you to attack with your smaller dude just to get in with a 5/5 kind of sucks. So it's tough to say exactly how big of a downside that is. It's very board state dependent, you know?
Well, if you're in red and you're blocking, you're probably losing.
That's true. Maybe if you're the green-red fatty dinosaur deck, but I don't even know if that deck wants this card just because you're not going to get the cheap creatures it needs to reliably get in.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Emergent Growth. 3 and a green, sorcery, uncommon. Target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn and must be blocked this turn of Fable. Unfortunately, this card is a sorcery. It doesn't give trample. I feel like if this card gave trample, it would actually be pretty playable. Without trample, I think I just don't like it. I think I just don't want to
Right.
jam it. What do you think?
I mean, because they can just throw like a little stupid thing in front of it, like a 1/1, and you're like, okay. Like, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's very situational. I don't like cards like that.
Neither
Like, I
do
want a
I.
card that's going to be efficient all the time, and that's going to be efficient, I don't know, maybe
If
10% of the time, if that.
I think if two things were different about this card, I would really like it. It either gave trample, so you could go over top of little dudes, so it's still punished, or you got to actually choose the creature that had to block it. Or like
Yeah.
target creature must block this turn in
Yeah.
Fable. But neither of those are met, and it's an expensive cost. Like maybe if it was 2 mana sorcery, you'd be like, okay, this is pretty. And the fact that it's an uncommon, like there's a lot of things against this card. It's almost like they really didn't want people to get good value out of this card. So just not a big fan of Emergent Growth.
I mean, maybe if you have a lot of creatures with trample, then you'll be looking to play it.
Yeah, I guess that's
Maybe.
true. Then you could go over
Maybe.
top. It still has the same punishing effect, but if it had it built in, it would just be so much better.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Grim Captain's Call. 2 and a black. Sorcery, uncommon. Return a pirate card from your graveyard to your hand. Then do the same for Vampire, Dinosaur, and Merfolk. So, what do you think about this one? This one's a pretty interesting card. So you can get up to, what, 4 cards back from your graveyard to your hand for 3 mana?
Yeah, but you're probably not playing all those in one deck, you
True.
know?
Is
So,
is getting 2 back good enough for you?
yeah, it's like Wandering Death. It's fine. That card's great.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess that's true. It's cool that it can get up to 4. Do you think like most decks are going to be tribal, or do you think there is going to be sort of like a spread? There's going to be like 4 and 5 color value decks.
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of fixing at this point yet. I think it's going to be mostly tribal.
Okay, then
Yeah.
that's probably a good point. Then at best, it's probably pretty good. At best, it's pretty good because, like you said, Wandering Death is pretty good. It turned
Yeah,
out to
but
be a
that
lot
has
better in the format than I expected it to be too.
it has cycling on it though. That's what makes it like really good. Because if
That's true.
you can't use it, you can just cycle it away. So I don't know. I think this is worse for
That's true
sure.
because this is also creature type dependent too.
Yeah.
But might go pretty late then for that reason. I guess you're right. It's going to be tough to know exactly if you're. I mean, I imagine bringing back a dinosaur and like a pirate, or bringing back a vampire and a dinosaur. If you're ever getting 2 creatures back with this, you're feeling good. But like you said, it's no Wandering Death, so it's probably at best just pretty good in this format. But uh, might go pretty late. Like Wandering Death ended up, in the beginning maybe you could wheel it, but towards the end it was getting pretty unusual to rare your or wheel your Wandering Deaths. I felt like. Um, all right, next we have Fiery Cannonade. This card is super spicy. 2 in a red, uncommon, instant, deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. So I am the tribal pirate deck, and then what? I just destroy your army and I get in with my dudes. It's pretty awesome, don't you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, it's really great against like vampires. Probably not so great against like a dinosaur deck.
That's true. So, but it's still, if you're the pirate tribal deck, do you just 100% always jam this main deck, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think so too. And I think the problem with this is you play it outside of pirate tribal too. At least I would. So even if I'm not in pirate tribal, like I feel like if you're the dinosaur deck, you probably still jam Fiery Cannonade, just because it's a board wipe. It's an instant speed board wipe spell. So I think you can't expect to wheel it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, if you were the
Yeah.
pirate tribal deck, which is a little bit of a downside. All right, next, Verdant Rebirth. 1 in a green, instant, uncommon. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to its owner's hand and draw a card. So this is another one of those kind of situational cards you were talking about earlier. So if you're like, I think this is mostly going to be reserved for sideboard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe it's cool with like creatures that have sacrifice effects or something, but basically I want to run this in my sideboard, and I play it against the heavy removal deck, and then it's like, okay, I'll turn your removal spell into, I'll get my dude back, and I'll draw a card.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I would play it otherwise.
Yeah, so not super impressive, but these are, to be honest, these have all been like pretty unimpressive uncommons so far. I was kind of expecting a little more gasoline out of my uncommons. Maybe we've got quite a few more though. Here's another one that's not amazing, but I mean I'm probably gonna jam it most of the time. So this is Bright Reprisal, 4 and a white, instant uncommon. Destroy target attacking creature, draw a card. So are you jamming that in every white deck?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
What
going
if
to
your
be super
vampire
happy.
beats? Are you still happy to have it in your vampire beatdown?
No, no, but I'm probably still going to play it. I mean, it's overpriced, I feel. I mean, the draw card is nice, but it's so situational. They have to be attacking you, and you have to have 5 mana up.
True. I mean, compare it to
That's
like
huge.
Sandblast. Think how much
Yeah.
more versatile Sandblast is. 2 mana less. You can kill the blocker. You don't get to draw a card, but like I think this card is worse than Sandblast. So that tells me that it's not that amazing, and that it could go relatively late too. Honestly, so I would expect to see this later than Sandblast, probably. Although it is an uncommon too, and Sandblast was a common. Once again, just mediocre uncommon here. Um, Moving on, we have Heartless Pillage, 2 and a black, sorcery, uncommon again. Target opponent discards 2 cards, and then it's got Raid. If you attack with a creature this turn, create a treasure token. So 3 mana, you attacked with a dude, you get a treasure too. So it can be a ramp plus discard 2. Just situational again. I'm not. I
Yeah.
mean, how often were you playing Unburden in Hour?
More than I would play this card because it had cycling. I mean, that made it huge,
Yeah.
right? Like that's if you don't need it, you can just cycle it away. Like I'm gonna miss cycling so much.
Yeah. Now that now that this is multiple times that you've said this, this might be a real issue. Coming out of a cycling format into a format that doesn't have cycling really is going to be difficult transition possibly, where it's like we're going to be maybe evaluating cards incorrectly because it's like, well, I can't just draw a card off this anymore. I can't just dump it if I
Yeah.
don't need it. So discard, like you say, does become worse when it doesn't have, oh, well, I drew Unburden, they have no cards in hand. At least I can just pay 2 and get something else. This, they have no cards in hand. What's at best? You're going to get a treasure token for 3 mana. Not so good. And that's if you activate Raid. So Heartless Pillage, yet tack it up to yet another uncommon that's not that impressive. But moving on, we have one that I like quite a bit more. Inspiring Cleric, 2 and a white, 3/2 uncommon vampire cleric, and when it enters the battlefield, gain 4 life. So I like this card a lot. This is going to be a real big game changer in the, I think, in the, aggro matchups, especially if you're tribal vampire against like tribal pirate. It's going to be pretty, or tribal merfolk. It's going to be pretty nice to have something that potentially trades and gains you 4 life. I absolutely fell in love with Sunscourge Champion from Hour of Devastation, and this kind of reminds me of that, although I like Sunscourge more because, once again, Eternalize, coming back, gaining more life. But this is I think this is very well costed for what you get. Wouldn't you agree?
For sure. I mean, we're in a lot of formats we're playing 3/2s that have no text and they're okay. I mean, they're just filler at that point, but the fact that you gain 4 life is great and it's a vampire, so it's gonna go do good things in your vampire deck for sure.
Absolutely. So I like this one. This is probably going to be a pretty premium pick. And the nice thing about Inspiring Cleric is you definitely play this outside of your Vampire Tribal too. It's amazing in
For sure.
Vampire Tribal, but I think any white deck you're going to be very happy to have Inspiring Cleric. And even if you're like the weirdo white dinosaur deck, you need the time. You need the time to get to your 5 and 6 drops. What a perfect 3 drop to have. Okay, I'll drop this dude. He'll trade with your 3 toughness guy. I'll gain 4 life. It's going to do its job. So Inspiring Cleric definitely gets a big nod from me. Pick it early. It's going to be great. Next is Air Elemental. It's a reprint many times over. 3 and 2 blue for a 4/4 flyer. So this has always been a staple of of limited formats, it's really hard to argue against a 5-mana 4/4 flyer. It's great cost for benefit. It's an uncommon. I don't remember if it was always an uncommon. I'm kind of curious now. I feel like it probably was. I can't imagine this being a common at any point. Maybe, but no, it looks like it was always an uncommon. So that's sensible. Just from core sets that I've played it in, it's always been great. So is it going to be as good in a block than, versus a core set? I guess the real question, usually core sets tend to have weaker overall card power level than blocks do. So I guess I expect Air Element will be not quite as good as it was in core set, but still very good. And I think if either of us are in blue, we're always going to play it. And we're probably going to pick it fairly highly if we've established ourselves in blue too, I imagine.
Well, so you just have to think about how much removal is there, how much reach stuff. Like, is evasion like going to be super important in this set? And it seems like it. I feel like a 4/4 flyer is going to be really beaten down.
Very much so. If we have a lot of like raid in our deck, we're going to be super happy to just have something that can fly over top, generate our raid, get in for 4. This thing puts a quick clock on the opponent too if they don't have evasion. So Air Elemental's just a great card.
Yeah.
All right, next, Seeker's Squire. 1 and a black, 1/2, uncommon human scout, and then when it enters the battlefield, it explores. So let's talk about the 2 modes. It's either a 2-mana 2/3, essentially scry 1, or 2-mana 1/2 draw land. So gonna jam it in every black deck, including your beatdown decks, or not?
Yes.
I think so too. What if it's a 1/2 though that just draws you a land? Are you still happy to have it in your beatdown deck?
Yeah, it's fine. The Explorer is really powerful. I'll take it.
So too. So I like it. It's not a relevant creature type in this format, unfortunately. So it kind of doesn't fit in with your vampires so much, and it's not a pirate, and it's not a merfolk. So not exactly tribally related here, but I think Explorer is going to be the real deal. So I don't think we're overly excited either. I really do think that ability is going to be pretty fantastic. All right, next we have Imperial Orosaur. This is 3 and a white, 3/3 flyer, uncommon dinosaur. And when it enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. This is one of those cards that you're really happy about when you're a beatdown deck, just because it's like, oh man, I can't win. And then you draw this one, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just fly my 3-power dude, and we'll just kill you. So Imperial Orosaur seems great. Very, very well costed. Even if it was just a 4-mana 3/3 flyer, we would probably play it most of the time, and that upside on it is huge. So, and it's an irrelevant creature type. This basically has everything going for it. How
Yeah.
early? Could you see yourself like first picking this and being pretty
Yes.
happy about it too?
Yeah.
I think
I'm
so
gonna
too.
slam it.
I think so too. So, Imperial Orosaur gets a nod from both of us. Great card. Next we have Navigator's Ruin. 2 and a blue, uncommon enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you attacked with a creature this turn, target opponent puts the top 4 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Have you ever drafted Mill, Jamie? Do you ever get into that or not?
I think I did it one time.
One time in all of your drafting?
Yes.
That's not that much. I've
No.
I've delved into it a few times. It is a pretty tough archetype to make work. It's format dependent, of course, but is this going to have enough support? Like, the problem is this is an uncommon, so it's not like a common that you can get, 4 of and then just kill your opponent. So this is a pretty tough build around uncommon, I would think. If you ended up with 2 of them, you could put an opponent away relatively quickly, but yeah, I don't think this is going to be a, hugely supported thing in the format, so I wouldn't expect to see too much of a thing with Navigator's Ruin. All right, next is Rallying Roar, 2 and a white. Actually, I think I already did that one with Sam. Next one, Tempest Caller, 2 and 2 blue, 2/3 uncommon Merfolk Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, tap all creatures target opponent controls. What do you think about that one, Jamie?
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm slamming it. Oh my gosh. What?
Yeah. So this seems like one of those bomb uncommons.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it's a Merfolk, you could totally play it in any blue deck. You're going to be happy to tap all their creatures and just get in. Yet another card like Imperial Orosaur where you're like, oh my god, I can't win. Oh yeah, Tempest Caller. I'll just tap all your dudes and get in and win. So super strong. That's a good way to evaluate a card. Just think of it in if you top deck it, is it one of those things that's just complete game flip? Then it's probably an amazing card. So yeah, I really like Tempest Caller a lot. Moving on, we have Sheltering Light, one white, uncommon instant. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Scry one. What do you think about this?
Uh, it's once again like really situational. Maybe,
How
maybe
often do you
not.
play the indestructible cycler in our
I
deck?
never play it.
I don't
Never.
think I do either. But this one has the added benefit of being one mana less,
Yeah, you could
and
try.
you always get to scry. So is it going to be
Yeah.
better?
In an aggro deck, sure, maybe because you can attack into something and your opponent thinks they're going to trade, and you're like, haha, just kidding. My guy's indestructible. I don't know. It's probably playable. I'm just not excited about it.
Yeah, I feel like um, I think it's better than my initial gut reaction to it is, because I think maybe both of us. I know I am. I'm comparing it to whatever that black card is from Hour of Devastation, um, which, like you said, we just never end up playing. But I think this one is significantly better. I think the fact that it's one mana cheaper and has the built-in scry, so you don't get the chance to cycle it if you don't need it, but always getting scry for one mana and protecting something. There's just enough value where, like you said, if I'm in an aggro deck, I think I'm pretty happy to jam this for one
Yeah.
mana. Um, all right. Next, moving on, we did a lot of these. Where are we at? Emissary of Sunrise. No, we did that one. Trying to catch up here. Okay, chart a course. One in a blue, uncommon sorcery. Draw two cards, then discard a card unless you attacked with a creature this turn. So it's like raid, but without having raid. So, what do you think about this card?
Draw two cards for two seems great. You
Mm-hmm.
just have to attack with the creature. So even if you're sending like just a stupid little 1/1 just to get two cards, like you're sending them to their deaths. I don't know. I think it's probably good.
This
I
seems
like it.
like, yeah, I agree. I think it seems like actually a great card. I said I wasn't too impressed with River Sneak, but this is probably where River Sneak, the unblockable merfolk, would really shine. Turn two River Sneak, I'll attack you unblockable, pay two mana, draw two. So, and I mean, in a pinch, sometimes you just need to pay two to draw two and discard a card,
Yeah.
you know?
If you're
So,
flooded, you have a lot of lands in your hand. Sure.
so I
It's
think
fine.
Chart a Course is actually going to be pretty high on my pick order. I think it's actually a very, very strong card. Okay, next we have Stormfleet Arsonist, 4 and a red, 4/4 Orc Pirate, uncommon, and it's got Raid. When it enters the battlefield, if you attacked, target opponent sacks a permanent. So, I feel like most of the time they're just going to be sacking a land, right?
Yeah, but that still sets them back. I mean, it's fine. I think it's a good card.
How high on the pick order are you going to be picking your Stormfleet Arsonists?
I'm probably not first picking it.
I don't think so either. But you think you would pick it relatively early, though, in the first, like, 5.
Yeah.
I think so too, actually. It's tough to say how good the Saka permanent effect is. It feels like one of those effects where when you look at it, most of the time you're like, it's really not setting somebody back that much, but when you actually play against it and, certain board states and you're like, man, I really wish I didn't have to sack a land right now. This is actually pretty harsh. So I think it's actually more harsh than it appears. Next, we have Wild Growth Walker. 1 in a green, 1/3, uncommon elemental. Whenever a creature you control explores, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you gain 3 life. How many Explorer dudes would you want in your deck before you felt comfortable and happy playing the Wild Growth
A
Walker?
bunch.
Like 5?
5, yeah.
I think 5 is probably about where I'm at too. But I mean, it's a power. It's actually a pretty powerful effect. Getting
Yeah.
bigger. It's cheap. It's not like you're paying a lot for this.
No.
It's cheap and gain 3 life and get a 2/4 minimum if you explore once is actually pretty good. So I personally like the Wild Growth Walker, but I mean, if you have like 2 explore guys, are you happy to have a 2 mana 1/3 basically do nothing in your deck? Not especially. So it's a little bit weird like that, but yeah, I actually think Wild Growth Walker is very good potentially. All right, next we have Kite Sail Freebooter. One in a black, 1/2 human pirate, uncommon. It's got flying, and when it enters the battlefield, opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. Exile that card until Kite Sail Freebooter leaves the battlefield. I actually really like this card a lot. It's a very cheap raid enabler. It doesn't beat down super hard, but it's a very cheap raid enabler. And that effect is great. Like, look at your opponent's hand, know what you want to maybe hold your removal spells for, get rid of one of their removal spells, so they have to use maybe a different removal spell to take care of your freebooter to get back their better one. So, uh, this card seems like the real deal. Very, very good to me. What do you think?
Yeah. Same. I mean, so then you're taking something powerful from their hand, hopefully, and then they have to waste removal on a 1/2 flyer to get it back. I mean, that's huge. And yeah, you're getting all that information from their hand. I think it's great.
I think it's great too. I could actually see myself maybe first picking this. I know it seems a bit nuts, but I think that effect is actually pretty good. It's a
Yeah.
good tribal beater. It's cheap. It has evasion, and it gives you information as well as takes a card. Like, there's a lot of built-in value to this card, so I'm a big fan. Next, we have Trove of Temptation, 3 in a red, uncommon enchantment. Each opponent must attack you or a planeswalker you control with at least one creature each combat if able. And at the beginning of your end step, you get a treasure token. So, flavorfully, I just absolutely love this card. You're making little treasure chests. Your opponent get greedy and they just want to run in and take it. So, really like this card flavorfully. But let's talk about the actual like playable implications of this card. What do you think about it, playability wise?
So it's like a come at me, bro enchantment.
Yeah. Is it good enough? Like, are you happy to play it in your beatdown deck?
I don't I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
know.
either.
It's a weird card. Maybe.
It's expensive. It's
Yeah.
expensive, and if you're a beatdown deck, you don't really need treasures. And if you're a mid-range control-ish fat dinosaur deck, do you really want to pay 4 mana to make them attack into your fat dinosaurs and ramp? Like, at the very least, it's a 4 mana on your turn 5. You can play 6 drops, right? So that's not horrible.
I guess. I don't know. I don't think I'm ever gonna play this card.
We'll
But we'll see
see.
how the format shakes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. I think honestly, I feel like we need to play with treasures for a little bit to kind of get a feel for how good, how relevant the ramp of treasure chests are.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah, I'm not super impressed with Trove of Temptation. Next, we have Vine Shaper Mystic. 2 and a green, 1/3, uncommon Merfolk Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target Merfolk you control. I personally love this card. I think it's very,
Yeah, it's
very
great.
strong. It's like Rishkar, right?
Right. At the very least, if you're playing it alone, it's gonna be a 2/4 for 3.
Which is pretty good. Certainly
Yeah.
not bad.
Right. The downside is fine. I would take it
Yes.
pretty
So Vine
highly.
Shaper Mystic strikes me as another card that I would totally be willing to first pick
Yeah.
because even if you don't end up in the Merfolk deck, you're probably jamming a 3 mana 2/4 in your green deck most of the time. I can't imagine that being terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Walk the Plank, 2 black, sorcery, destroy target non-merfolk creature. Jeez, this card seems fantastic. Very efficiently costed, really strong removal. How often are we going to run into the... How often are you going to forget that it's non-merfolk creature and be like, oh, so it's okay, I'll just make it Walk the Plank. Ah, damn it. That's a merfolk.
You'll do it once and you'll never forget.
We'll see. You know which one I always screwed up was from Innistrad. I think it was... I forget what it's called now, but it was also 2 black, and it didn't let you kill vampires or werewolves, um,
Okay.
which was it came up more often than you would have thought. But that was an instant speed one. This is a sorcery. I still think this card is phenomenal. It's a very good
Yeah.
cost. So
I'm
Walk
first
the
picking it
Plank,
for sure.
very easily first pickable most of the
Yeah.
time, I imagine. Next we have Wily Goblin, 2 red for a 1/1 uncommon Goblin Pirate, and when it enters the battlefield, you get a treasure. So I know this card's not terribly exciting. I know I see your face, Jamie, but remember it's like a 2 mana pirate that does get you to your 4 drop on turn 3, which is not bad. Getting you
It's
4 drop
double
on turn
red.
3 in a red deck, especially, is not terrible.
It's double red.
Double red, it is. But it also fixes for you with that treasure.
Sure, but how often are you dropping out on turn two if you're two colors?
It's going to be a little bit more difficult, admittedly. But,
In mono red, if mono red is going to be a thing, it's
yeah, I don't know.
probably fine.
Maybe. Is mono red going to be a thing? Probably if you force it. I imagine this is mostly a two-color sort of tribal deck, but I think Wily Goblin's probably okay. I think it's probably better than it looks, considering it's a 2 red 1/1, as you say. I actually think being able to ramp in tier 4 drop on turn 3 in red is very unique and actually pretty powerful for a beatdown deck. All right, next we have Drover of the Mighty, 1 and a green, 1/1 uncommon human druid. It gets +2/+2 as long as you control a dinosaur, and then you can tap and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And this is just an uncommon.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
This card seems ridiculously good to me.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you have dinosaurs, But even if you don't, it's like ramp. It's so good.
It's better, and it's like any color ramp too. This card seems
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, this is a powerhouse uncommon. And I'm sure Jamie has experienced this as well. How much do we like cheap ramp in limited? Cheap ramp is fantastic in limited. So yes, I think this is easily first pickable, and you're pretty happy to have it. Even if you have 0 dinosaurs in your deck, I don't know why you'd ever be unhappy to have a 2-mana ramper. So
You wouldn't. Not in green.
very, very good card.
Yeah, you want to play your big fatties early. It's all good.
All right, next we have Ixalan's Binding. 3 and a white, uncommon enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls till it leaves the battlefield. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. So 1 more mana than Oblivion Ring, but it does have the additional effect. How often is that effect going to come up in limited, do you think?
Eh, probably not that much.
But are you still first picking this most of the
Yeah,
time?
it's really great removal. It's unconditional removal. You got to take it.
I think so too. So I like it.
Yeah.
Very good. Next we have Stormfleet Aerialist. 1 and a blue, 1/2 flyer, and enters the battlefield as a 2/3 flyer if you attack with a creature this turn. Big fan of this card. You're a
Yes.
you're a pirate beatdown deck. Why would I not want a 2-mana 2/3 flyer? So, how unhappy are you if you have to play it as a 2-mana 1/2 flyer, Jamie?
Eh, a little unhappy, but it's still fine.
I think so too. You know what else is nice about this? Even if you have to play it as a 1/2 flyer, it's a raid enabler itself. So it's actually good in
Yeah.
multiples. You play it, it's like, well, I don't have anything else better going on. I'll play my flyer. Now I'll attack. Now I'll play another one that's a 2/3, or I'll play whatever other raid guy I have. So I think these flyers as raid enablers are going to be very, very good. Better than they seem on the surface. All right, next is kind of a fun, very fun card. Another flavorful, awesome card. Wanted Scoundrels. 1 and a black, 4/3 uncommon human pirate. And when it dies, target opponent gets 2 treasures. So it's got a little bounty on its head. But I mean, this card seems. I mean, how highly were you picking, or are you picking Blood Rage Brawler right now?
I'm not picking it very highly these days, but I was in the beginning. And at Monkhead, I was.
You weren't picking it. You're not picking it that highly these days.
Nope.
Whoa,
I
Jamie, what's
know.
going on
I
here?
know. The
I,
discard is real. I don't know. It's tough.
I still love it. Well, what do you think about Wanted Scoundrels then?
I'm very mixed because if you play it against an opponent who has like removal for it and they're able to ramp and they ramp into something insane you can't deal with, that's super sad. But playing it on two as a 4/3, and if they can't deal with it, they're in trouble. That's a huge clock.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
think
know.
I think I have to get punished by playing it a few times to really fully appreciate how devastating it actually is. It's also, you know what's nice about it is it's always going to be a good top deck even in the late game. Think about it this way. If they already have
Yeah.
7 or 8 mana out, do you really care if it dies and they get 2 treasure? Not
No.
especially. So even on turn 8 or 9, you draw a 2-mana 4/3, you're like, okay, well, whatever. I got a 4/3. It's going to do something. So I think it's actually one of those cards that's good. It's good in all points of the games. It's just more risky in the beginning of the game. That's basically it. So I
But
like it.
high risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward. That's the way I like it. Actually, that's not true. That's true some of the time, but in this case, I actually do like this one quite
Yeah,
a bit. I'm going to jam it in every black deck, absolutely. I'm
I'm
probably
gonna
going to pick
try
it
it.
pretty highly too, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, next is Lightning Strike. This is definitely a reprint. We don't have to go too much in depth on this. Pretty obvious. Awesome card. One to red, instant, uncommon. Deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Has it always been an uncommon? I don't think it
I don't
was,
think
right?
so. No, I have it in my pauper deck.
So, yes. In fact, this is the first time that it's printed at uncommon.
Wow.
So, I don't exactly know why, but it's never been like an overpowered card. I mean, Lightning Bolt was 1 mana cheaper and did the same thing. So I'm a little confused why this is uncommon, but you're still going to take it very highly. Excellent card. Great way to just kill your opponent outright. All right, next is kind of a unusual little card here. Atzokin Archer, 2 and a green, 1/4 uncommon human archer. It's got reach, and when it enters the battlefield, you may have it fight another target creature. What do you think about this one?
Uh, if there's a lot of X ones in the format, I'm happy to have it. And also you can like kind of finish things off after combat, maybe.
Yes, I was
So I
thinking the
think
same
it's
thing.
pretty good.
Yeah, and you don't have to fight, which is also pretty good. It's not a
Yeah.
must fight. So sometimes you just need to block their flyer, get a 1/4 out there. It's still okay. But I actually like Atsukin Archer. I think it's probably pretty decent. Um, it even kind of combos with like instant speed buff spells, maybe. Play this 3 mana 1/4 in response to the trigger. I guess I'll, buff it a little bit more just to make sure I kill something. I think it's just versatile enough where I'm pretty happy to take it relatively early too.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Imperial Lancer. 1 white, 1/1 uncommon human knight. It has double strike as long as you control a dinosaur. All right. Not quite exciting enough for me. How
Yeah,
about
that's
you?
how I feel too. Eh. If it was a 2/2, I'd be like, whoa, slam it.
How
But
about if it was a
that'd be way
how
too
about if
good.
it was a 2 mana 2/2 with that ability?
Yeah, I would slam it.
Yeah, I think so too. So it really is the fact that it's a 1 mana 1/1 I think that makes this card so much less exciting. So not super excited about Imperial Lancer a bit. I imagine you're going to wheel this all the time. And you're even when you do and you're in dinosaurs, you're not going to be that stoked to have it. All right, next is Favorable Winds. 1 in a blue. This is also a reprint. Enchantment. Uncommon. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So this is a fun build around uncommon sort of. You're the Flyers deck. You're pretty happy to have a 2 mana Anthem effect.
Yeah.
But how many Flyers do you need to be feel good about playing Favorable Winds in your estimate?
I mean, it's super cheap, so I would say at least three. I'd play it with three flyers,
No way.
maybe.
I'd play
No, I
more than
wouldn't.
that.
Just
You need
kidding.
more.
I want like five or six.
I think minimum 6, and even then you're looking a little bit sketchy. Either way,
It's so
it's a
cheap
fun build.
though.
It's a fun build around though. I think
Yeah.
I mean it's powerful. Your evasive guys deal more damage. It's definitely going to be a big tide turner, I think, if you're in any sort of evasive deck. So maybe we'll see a blue white flyer Murph. That's where you'd get the weird mix of creature types. You'd get like the pirates, the dinosaurs, and the maybe the merfolk flyers. Are there flying merfolk? I guess that doesn't really make sense, but maybe there might be one or two. We'll see. I mean, they're supposed to
Yeah.
be underwater, so that would be kind of weird. All right. Next is Costly Plunder. 1 in a black. Common instant. As an additional cost to cast Costly Plunder, sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards. All right. What do you think, Jamie? And think hard on this one.
I mean, if you're producing a lot of treasure, it seems fine,
How
right?
about how about in response to removal?
Oh, okay. Sure. Sure.
I think it's okay. I've seen
Yeah,
this kind of effect before. Like you said, the fact that you can sack treasure to get 2 cards is actually, obviously not bad. But I think most of the time this is going to be reserved to your sideboard. I think if you're super deep treasure token generation, this is totally main deckable. I think most of the time, though, reserve for sideboard and a pretty good sideboard card against the heavy removal decks. Okay, next is Fire Cannon Blast. 1 and 2 red, sorcery common. Deals 3 damage to target creature. Then you can raid, deal 6 damage to that creature if you attacked with a creature instead. All right,
so good. I'm in.
I'm in too. Probably Probably first picking most of the time. I don't
Yeah,
see why
that's
not.
great.
It's good enough for that. I think the problem with it is if you want to kill a fatty, it's going to be hard to generate that raid to kill it. You got to get in with, you got to be willing to like sack a creature to kill their 6 toughness dude, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you don't mind sacrificing something tiny to kill something big. I mean, that's fine.
Sometimes it has to be done, but that
Hmm.
is an actual downside on this card. But it's still pretty cool, and I definitely think it's good enough to pick first. All right, next is Crash the Ramparts. 2 and a green, common, instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. So how often are you going to be jamming that one?
Uh, Probably a good bit. That seems like a powerful effect that it gets trample when it's big. I'm probably playing one of in a lot of my green decks.
I think so too. So
Yeah.
not going to be super high priority pick, but
No.
it is going to be one of those cards like Brute Strength where you're pretty happy when you're like, oh, this card does just win me the game right now. So the trample is what makes it, and I think, yeah, it's pretty good. Probably see it fairly late too, maybe like 7th to 10th pick, which is nice if you're in a green deck, seeing it that late. All right, next is Bishop's Soldier, which also seems like the real deal. 1 and a white, 2/2, Vampire Soldier common, and it's got lifelink, built-in lifelink. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I like bears with upside. Sign me up.
I'm in. I'm taking it fairly early too.
Yeah.
All right, next is Cancel. We don't really need to go in depth on that. This seems to be pretty much in all the, seems like it's in all the sets nowadays. But counterspell at 2 mana was too good. Cancel at 3 mana is unfortunately not very good, mostly bad, but it still comes up. I'm sure it comes up against you in Hour of Devastation every once in a while, right?
Yeah, I'm always like real surprised. I'm like,
Yeah, me
oh,
too.
okay.
But I've gotten got by Cancel a few
Yeah.
times, so it can be the real deal if you have enough instant speed spells in your deck. Typically, it's not bad at all. Next, we have Contract. Killing, 3 and 2 black, common sorcery. Destroy target creature, create 2 treasures. What do you think?
I'm in.
I'm
I'm
in
in.
too. This seems great. 5 mana sorcery, a bit on the clunk side there, but the fact that it hooks you up with 2 treasures, maybe play your 7 drop on turn 6, or your 8 drop even, if you have a land. Pretty big. So I like it. Yeah, and 2 treasures too, that's pretty good. Alright, next we have Fathom Fleet Firebrand. 1 in a red, 2/2, common human pirate, and it's inflatable. It's got fire breathing for 1 in a red. So, are you always jamming this in your red pirate beatdown?
Yeah.
I
Bear
think
with upside.
I
I'm
think
in.
so too. How late in the pick order are we looking at for Firebrand?
Uh, I'm not taking it super early.
Are we gonna wheel this card? Is this card wheeling?
It might.
I think it might
Probably
as
not,
well. So
but it might.
this is nice if you're in Pirate Tribal because I don't know if every deck wants this. Like I'm trying to think if I'm fatty. I think the thing is if I'm fatty red dinosaurs, I'm probably still playing this card though, because I'm gonna have the disposable mana. This card scales pretty well at any point in the game. So I actually think this is a fairly good comment actually. I think it's pretty good. Because even if you don't inflate it, it's a 2/2. Compare that to
Hmm.
the I think it was the wolf, the feral ridge wolf or whatever. That was like you pay 3 mana, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn, but it's like a 1/2 trampler or something. Maybe no, you pay 2 mana, it gets +2/+0. Actually, I can't remember. It was one of those. Maybe it was 3 mana. But either way, that had built-in trample. This is just a 2/2 for 2, the static cost. So I think I almost like this more, just because you don't have to leave the mana up to inflate it. It's still kind of doing something for you.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Colossal Dreadmaw, 4 and 2 green, common dinosaur, 6/6 trampler. Are we always jamming this guy in our green stompy deck, I guess?
Yes,
I think so too. It's good
for
cost for
sure.
benefit. Uh,
Hmm.
it's got the built-in trample. This is gonna finish some dudes off pretty good, and I like art's kind of cool too. Look at that, just a profile shot. Look at that dinosaur just giving its
He's
little
like, oh,
giving a little cutesy
hi.
look. Next is Encampment Keeper, 1 white, common hound. It's got first strike. You pay 8 mana, you tap it. It gets all creatures in sack it. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. So what do you think about this? Is a cycle too. What do you think about this one?
Uh, I don't know. It's interesting.
Are you going to jam it in your white beatdown or not?
Maybe. Because then, yeah, once if you it's still out and you're trying to go wide, you can just sack it and pump your team. But your opponent's probably going to take care of it before you get to that point.
But even if they're doing that, they're probably using a card, right? So
Yeah,
if your one drop's trading for a card in your opponent's hand, that can't be all bad. And it's got first strike, which is not irrelevant.
yeah. I would probably jam it in a deck. I just wouldn't. I'm not picking it very highly at
Yeah, I
all.
don't know yet on this one. I think this might be better than the appearance leads it to be, because creatures you control get +2/+2. If you're, like you said, if you're at the point where you're on a stalemate board state, and you're just a land card away from being able to activate this, that could be a real big threat. So I kind of like the Encampment Keeper. I don't know how highly I'm picking it, but I do kind of like it. All right, next is One with the Wind, 1 in a blue, common, aura, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has flying. So we've seen this before with Spectral Flight, which I think is the exact same card, yeah. Except it was more spirit-oriented, but yeah. So we've totally seen this effect before on Spectral Flight, and at that time it was still very good. It's one of those cards in Limited that just totally wins you the game, like, out of nowhere. It's an aura, which is obviously a downside, but like I said, it's actually very good. I think One with the Wind is actually a very good card. Once again, in this format with Raid, giving your guy built-in Raid enable for 2 mana, plus, I mean, think about just playing a 2-mana 2/2, and then on turn 3 you get to attack with a 4/4 flyer. That's pretty strong, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'm very weary of enchantment auras because you're asking to be 2 for 1, right?
True, but would you make an exception for this one because of how potentially strong it is?
Sure, and I don't think there's a ton of removal in this format, so it seems like it's strong
What about Cartouche of Knowledge? How often were you playing that one?
all the time, and you got a card off of it.
True. And you get the added benefit of the trials if you have those in your deck too. So,
Yeah,
good. So I guess Cartouche is a little bit better than this, quite a bit better actually, but I still probably am going to jam One at the Wind, and I feel like I'm definitely going to lose against it a few times as well. So I would
yeah.
keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a strong card. Next is Blight Keeper. This is part of that Encampment Keeper cycle. It's a 1 black, 1/1 bat imp common creature. It's got flying, and then you pay 8 mana, sack it. Target opponent loses 4 life, and you gain 4 life. All right, Jamie. Remember the raid implications of this, and then make your
Yes.
assessment.
I do think it's better than the Encampment Keeper
Okay.
for sure because of the flying. And that swing is huge. By the time you get to turn 8, that's going to make a big difference probably. So I think this is strong.
I think it's strong too. I actually think this is deceptively strong, and it's probably worthy of a pretty early pick actually, considering it's just a 1-mana 1/1 flyer. But the fact that it enables raid, I feel like we've seen a lot of raid in black too. I feel like already, so it's in a good color for being evasive, especially at 1 mana. So starting your raid enable on turn 1 is actually a pretty big deal. So I think Blightkeeper is definitely a card to keep an eye on. I think it's going to be one of those cards that's picked a little bit higher in the picking order as the weeks go on. Next we have Dual Shot. 1 red, instant common, deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. So how often are you playing Blazing Volley, Jamie?
That's a sideboard card for me because it's a sorcery.
Okay, so is the fact that this is an instant, does it make it better than Blazing Volley?
Yes.
Even though Blazing Volley deals 1 damage to all of your opponent's creatures?
Yeah.
I think so too. So does that mean you're willing to main deck Dual Shot, or is this once again like Blazing Volley a sideboard card?
I still think it's a sideboard card.
I think so too. I think Dual Shot for the most part is going to be a sideboard card. Now, if this format turns out to be ridiculous with X1s kind of dominating everything, that could switch.
Yeah.
But I think initial gut reaction, yes, I'm probably going to be sideboarding my Dual Shots for a little bit. Okay, next we have Blossom Dryad. All right, it ramps, Jamie, but It's 2 and a green for a 2/2, and it untaps target land. So how much worse? How often are we jamming a 3-mana ramper as opposed to the obvious good 2-mana rampers?
A little bit less, I would say, for sure, but it's still worthy. There's not like a gift of paradise in here where you can untap
Not that we've seen
something.
yet, or at least not that
Yeah,
I remember.
because that would be great.
Yes.
Uh, but otherwise,
But,
eh.
Jamie, we do have those sweet utility lands, right? We've got the all of those transform lands, the legendary enchantment that turn into special lands.
Okay, yeah. So like if you have one that like taps for 3 mana, that would be insane. There is one, right?
The green one, in particular, would be insane with this. It taps for how many creatures you have, and you could untap it and ramp that way again. That is pretty big. There's the blue one that lets you look at the top 4 and take a card and put the rest on the bottom. There's the white one that makes a little vampire. The red one is a lightning bolt to the face, I think, or a creature too. Actually, it's pretty crazy. And then
Yeah,
which one am I forgetting?
black.
The black one, is that the one I
Yeah,
forgot? That
I
one
think so.
actually is pretty bad. Now that I think of it,
Okay.
that one is
So
like,
we'll just keep forgetting it.
yeah, it's something like they have to. You can sack a creature and gain life equal to like its toughness or something. So not that impressive, but yeah. So this is good with the transform lands, and I think there's a few more actually that we haven't even gotten to because the set is actually very big. We can skip some of these, like we don't have to go over Demystify. That's just a sideboard reprint card. Next is Dive Down. 1 blue instant. It's common. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 against hexproof. So this is like a protection spell. Nothing too special. We'll try. I think we should sort of skip around to the more exciting cards because we're running low on time, and I do want this to be the last spoiler video that Seems Good is going to put out. So why don't we just go to the more exciting cards? Let's look at. Let's see here. Hmm. Well, I kind of. Why don't we skip to the vehicles? Because that's, I think, where the real spicy stuff is. This set is very, very big. I mean, look at all these
Yeah,
cards we haven't even looked
wow.
at yet. There's just a lot of cards to
Do you
look
talk
at,
about
a lot
Oct?
of commons. It's so easy to talk about a lot of these cards. Spell Pierce coming back is kind of a big deal. I'm sure there's going to be some commons worthy of mentioning here, but let's just go through. We got to go through the 2 planeswalkers. I mean, look at these cards. 2/1 planeswalkers. Vraska, Relic Seeker. Vraska is back for a black and a green for a 6 loyalty planeswalker. +2, get a 2/2 pirate with menace. -3, destroy an artifact, creature, or enchantment. Create a colorless treasure card. And then -10, target player's life total becomes 1. So obviously you're going to slam this if you open it because
Yeah.
it's a planeswalker. It's exciting. It's great. But how great is it actually? Like, is this a card that seems like it would make waves in standard or constructed at all? Or is it just too expensive, not quite enough upside?
I don't know anything about constructed, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
I guess that's true. But, so, I mean, we're always going to be jamming this. Maybe we should just
Yeah.
read it and be like, yeah, we're probably just going to jam this card. So it is very good. I mean, +2, make a relevant creature. -3, deal with anything. I don't
And
know
you
how.
get a treasure
Minus
too.
10,
Like,
you're probably just going to die. Yeah, this card is crazy good. All right, next is Huatli, Warrior Poet. 3, a red and a white for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +2, gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. 0, create a dinosaur 3/3 with trample. -X, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage this way can't block this turn. Ooh, I mean, you're always going to be
oof.
first picking this as well. But don't you think
Yeah.
the little dinosaur creation's kind of unusual, that aspect of it, because it's a green dinosaur? But I guess it makes sense with her in the picture.
That dinosaur in the picture's adorable.
Little Triceratops. I believe it's smiling as well.
Yeah.
How have they managed to capture all of these dinosaurs smiling?
I don't
Um,
know.
yeah, so
Which one do you like better, Vraska or
oh, that's a good question.
Huatli?
I feel like Vraska just because it's more versatile. It can bring
Yeah.
me. It can like deal with something right away. It also can just protect itself with a dude. Huatli also. I mean, they both pass the test of being able to protect themselves. So I think they're both fantastic. They both
You'll
definitely have implications of making it to standard because of that.
yeah. And
Um, Very exciting.
Thankfully, you'll never have to decide between the two of them. Pack one, pick one,
Yeah, I
right?
guess that's true. All right, next is Vona, Butcher of Megan. 3 and a white and a black for a 4/4 mythic knight, vampire knight. It's got vigilance and lifelink, and then you pay 7 life. You can destroy a non-land permanent. Activate this ability only during your turn. So this card's nuts because it's got vigilance. I'm gonna swing for 4 vigilance lifelink, and then before you block, I'll just tap and pay 7 life and just kill something, and then gain 4 on my way.
Yeah, that's insane.
So
Gross.
yes, Vona seems like a really, really tough card to play against. I really like it a lot, though. We've still got. Why don't we just do? We'll do these mythics. We're probably going to skip the rares just because I want to. I do kind of want to look at a couple of the vehicles. We're returning to vehicles. Sorry, this format is so big, guys. I wanted to go through everything, but there's just so much to go through. Um, so let's do Admiral Beckett Brass. It's Grixis colors plus a colorless. It's a 3/3 mythic pirate human. Other pirates you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your instep, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who is dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Alright, what do you think about that one?
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. Well, basically, it's a anthem effect for pirates, and then
Sure.
attack with a bunch of pirates, and I guess the problem is they
You
have to,
have to
like,
get the
block.
damage through.
They kind of have to block. Well, they don't even have to. At the beginning of your instep game, it's your instep, so you can't do it on their turn. They can't like attack into you. You block with 3 pirates and then steal their guy. So it doesn't work like that. So it's offensive only, and then if they block, regardless of whether your pirate trades with theirs, the fact that it was dealt damage by 3 or more, uh, if the player was dealt damage by 3 or more. So you attack with 3 pirates. Say they block 2 of your pirates, they both trade. Or not trade, but your pirates die and theirs don't, you can just steal one of their guys that was dealt damage. So it is, you're right, it is a bit of a weird card, but even if it was just a 4 mana 3/3 that buffed all your pirates, it's probably pretty decent. I guess it's going to be tough to cast, right?
Well, you're probably gonna have some treasure producers
Good call.
in your deck.
How could
Yeah.
I not think of that? You got your
So that's how
treasures.
you'll be able to cast it. Yeah. But I still think it's kind of awkward.
It's a
It's still
weird
very
card.
good,
It's absolute. That's a weird effect.
obviously. Yeah.
That's a weird effect. I think it's going to make for some difficult decisions in combat too. If you're like facing down this card, you're like, oh man, he attacked with 3 pirates. So how do I want to do this? It's almost like you want to trade if you're going up against this guy. You know what I mean? You'd rather. It's like I'd rather trade and have my guy die and get rid of your pirate than not trade, kill your pirate, and let you have my guy. So it's a very unusual card in that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's get through this one. Gishath, Sun's Avatars looks terribly exciting. 5 colorless, and then it's Naya colors, red, green, white. It's a mythic dinosaur avatar. It's got trample, vigilance, and haste. It's a 7/6, and when it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library, and you can put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them. Get this, onto the battlefield. And the rest on the bottom. Not even in your hand, Jamie, on the
It's
battlefield
insane.
for no cost, and it's got trample,
Yeah.
vigilance, haste. This card is nuts. This card is insane.
Yeah.
So, and it's for each damage that was dealt to them. So what? You hit them for 7, just look at top 7, put any number of dinosaurs? What? This card is crazy. This card's crazy. So,
I mean, just the first three, trample, vigilance, haste.
it's got
That's
everything.
insane.
What
Yeah.
don't what doesn't this do? So yeah, I think this is an example of an 8 drop that I would be happy to first pick just because it seems so ridiculous and over the top. And like Jamie mentioned, 3 colors not maybe not as big a deal. We've got treasures now. So
Yeah.
I can fix for this. You could be just 2 of these colors and still probably be okay if you have like, 4. If you have like 4 treasure generators in your deck, I would feel more than comfortable playing Gishath, Sun's
Right.
Avatar.
Because you're playing it late, so you'll probably get them by then.
What
That's
if you,
fine.
even if you had like 2 treasure generators and like you played 1 land of the off color of the 3 colors, 3 sources to fix for this if you're 2 of the 3 colors, I'd still feel comfortable playing it because it's 8 mana.
Mm, that's a little greedy.
Little greedy? Well, what do you do for splashes? If you're splashing
I
what?
don't splash. Let's
You don't
be
splash?
real. No.
Okay. I feel like that's a lie. I've seen you splash a couple
I
times.
mean, if it's really powerful, I'll splash for it. So that I'm splashing for.
Okay.
But I'm very conservative with my splashing.
Okay. All right. Final mythic we'll get through. Tishana, Voice of Thunder, 5, a green and a blue. It's a star mythic legendary merfolk shaman. I guess we should have mentioned all the other previous ones were legendary too. This one's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size. And when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control. All right, so its abilities work well together. What do you think about this one?
It's insane. If you have 3 or 4 creatures and you drop this, you get to just draw that many cards. It's
And it
nasty.
is at least a 4/4 at that point too. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess the issue with this card is if you have no, if it's the last card you play, it does actually die because that when it enters the battlefield thing has to trigger. That has to go on the stack. So
Okay.
Tashana would die if she's the last card you play, and considering she's 7 mana, she's likely the last card you're going to play. But even playing 7 mana and you don't get the creature out of it, you just get to draw a card for each creature you control. That's not bad. It's not great. You probably want the creature on top of it. But I don't know how bomb this is. I'm way less excited by this one than I am by Gishath, but I'm probably still first picking this every time
Yeah.
just because it's kind of an exciting upside. It kind of sucks though if it's your top deck card and you're looking for an answer. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like empty board and you top deck Tishana and you're like, oh, that sucks. You do get to draw one card, right? Because it enters battlefield. So at the very least, you draw one card off of it, but
For each creature you control. Yeah.
so it comes in, even if it's going to die right away, it
Right.
counts itself, but
So if
still.
you have a huge board, you could draw a bunch of
Right.
cards. I don't
You
know.
draw like
I
7
still
or 8.
think it's
And you don't have
exciting.
to discard maximum hand
Yeah.
size. All right, so we can't do a lot of these. Well, I'm just going to quickly go through some of the more exciting vehicles. It looks like, are all the vehicles rares now? No, we see some uncommon ones. So let's do some of these rare vehicles. We got Shadowed Caravel. If you remember vehicles from Kaladesh, I'm sure Jamie does. They turned out to be insane. I don't know if you thought the same thing, but they were way better than I expected them to be. Maybe just a couple in particular. The stupid 3 mana 5/4 attacker or whatever. The one that there was the 4 mana one that got a +1/+1 counter whenever it attacked, and there was the 3 mana that attacked with 5 power. Both of those were just like
The
busted good.
trains. Yeah.
This one is 2 mana, 2/2, rare vehicle, and whenever a creature you control explores, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then it crews for 2. So can you put a +1/+1 counter on it? It still is a 2/2 even. Wait, is it a two? It's not a 2/2 when it's just a vehicle though. So you don't even get to put a +1/+1 counter on it unless it's a creature, right?
Yeah, so you'd have to crew it before.
I'm not terribly excited by this card to be perfectly honest. I want it to be
Wait, why
better.
can't you put a counter on it if it's not a creature?
You can put counters on non-creature cards, but I don't think you can put +1/+1 counters on non-creature cards. That is yet to be determined. Somebody can
Huh.
point out the
It's
answer to
interesting.
that. This card just seems weird enough where I kind of want to look at it. Dowsing Dagger. We've got a 2 mana rare equipment card. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent gets 2/0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. Then it equips for 2, and equipped creature gets +2/+1. And whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform it. And it transforms into the Lost Veil. So it adds 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. I imagine this is sort of a Fountain of Youth throwback, or it's a homage to Fountain of Youth. You've got your dagger that's like cutting through the weeds, cutting through these plant creatures, the jungle that's holding you back, and then you stumble upon these mysterious ruins with hacking through the jungle. I like the flavor of this card. How good is the actual card though? Do you want? What about? I mean, it's also a May transform, so I guess that is actually relevant. So if you
Yeah.
want to keep it as you don't have to change it into a land that ramps for 3. How good is this card? I guess.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, if you have flyers, like just slam it on one of them and go. Like, who cares that you're giving them 2 defenders? If you have any sort of evasion, you're happy to have this card. And then if you have big fatties or you need like fixing, it's great.
It's true. It's pretty versatile. I'm a little bit
Yeah.
concerned about giving them blockers, but you're right. Maybe
Eh,
it's mostly irrelevant. I'm not sure. I wish they were 0/1 green plant creatures, honestly, but
yeah.
that's okay. Next is Fell Flagship, 3 mana, 3/3. Rare vehicle. Pirates you control get +1/+0, so yet another pirate anthem. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and then it accrues for 3. All right, is this one good enough, Jamie? I guess the good part about this is, even in non-creature form, your pirates are getting +1/+0.
Yeah, so I'm probably just playing it in a pirate deck. So the second line really doesn't matter. Because like it's a 3/3, like they'll be able to block that super easily. It's not like anything exciting. It's not like a smuggler's copter, you know? Like
Yes, that's true. It doesn't it seem like they kind of lowered the power level of vehicles overall?
yeah.
I feel like they did as well. They upped the rarity and lowered the power level, so I think they were conscious that 3 mana, 5 power attackers was, oh, this card's just nuts. So
The freighter, yeah.
all right, so there's quite a few more cards to get through. I think we'll do one more and then we'll call it, unfortunately. So let's do Treasure Map because I think I looked at this one already and I thought it was really cool. Once again, Flavorfully. This is a 2 mana artifact that's a rare. You pay 1, you tap, you get to scry 1, and then you put a landmark counter on Treasure Map. And then if there's 3 or more landmark counters on it, you get to remove it and transform it and get 3 treasure tokens. And then it turns into Treasure Cove, which taps for a colorless or tap, sack a treasure, draw a card. So what do you think about this card?
I think it's great. It's
Are you,
interesting, but
are you gonna
yeah.
first pick it?
Eh, probably not.
You don't think so? You're not
Uh,
excited enough by? Is it just do nothing enough? Is one tap scry one not like how often are you using that on like riddle form? I guess when the 3 mana activation.
I mean, you use it when you have nothing else to do with your mana,
But that's true. But you don't feel like obligated to use it. The unfortunate part about Treasure Map is you kind of feel obligated to use it
but
because
it's cheap enough.
it is a cheap cost. I think I'd probably first pick Treasure Map.
Yeah.
I like it enough as the upside. And then the fact that it's got the built-in tap, it gives you 3 things to sack to draw a card with. Pretty cool little card. So I'm really kind of digging the way they're going about transform, where it's like transform this permanent into some sort of weird land card. So I'm a little bit curious how transforming into these utility lands is going to affect the format basically, because they're all transforming into lands. So is it going to change your decisions on how many lands you should be running in your deck? I was talking to Sam about this and it's kind of confusing. Does that mean I want to run 16 where I normally would run 17 because I have like 3 transform into land cards?
It depends on how much mana you're gonna need. Like, how many mana sinks do you have?
I mean, that's true. Are we ever going to be doing 15 lands or does it not matter? Is it like, no, I have to keep it 16? Like, are we going to get flooded more often? Is flood not going to be as big an issue because all these lands are sort of utility?
It's really interesting.
I don't exactly know yet, but implications are very interesting, as Jamie says. You can find Jamie on Twitch. Check it out in the video description. Thanks so much for coming back, Jamie, for the final video. I apologize to the viewers that we could not get through every card. There's just so many. And some of these cards are just so interesting that you really just, you get into it. You get into it, you want to talk about it. So plenty of more cards that I haven't even looked at yet that I need to look at. So very exciting looking format. If you think there's a card that I really need to pay attention to, please leave that in the comments. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. And Jamie, thanks again for coming
Thanks
back
for having me.
for another set review. All right, we'll see y'all later.
Bye.